All right. So I just basically asked Michael if I could live with him. And okay, so now I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm off the phone with him. And I'm thinking, what is my wife going to say? Before she left, I just told her I was going to separate from the family for 30 days. And, my assumption was I was going to be at the shop while they weren't at the shop and be at home when they weren't at home and put myself to prayer and fasting and to really dive into this to figure out if this is the will of God in my life. Seek God out. Because, you can obtain the will of God. Anybody can obtain the will of God. You just got to seek it out. You got to ask. Asking you shall receive. Knocking the door shall be open. I mean, you've got to ask for the will and you got to seek it. Seeking you shall find. And anybody that goes after God fervently, the effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. And I'm telling you, if you want to know the will of God for your life, all you got to do is ask, and then you just got to be willing to take the time and seek it out until you find it, until you hear from God. Anyways, so now I'm like, how am I going to tell my wife? She's going to be coming home. And I'm like, dude, when she left, I just thought I was going to separate. Now I've got to tell her that it's not even going to be here. Plus, how am I going to get there? I don't have the money to get there right now. We were broke at the time. We didn't have no money. We was banking on, the student loan that she was getting ready to get to, help us get to the next step. Because business was bad. I mean, it was getting ready to be shipping season, but business was bad. And didn't have any money. So I was like, all right, Lord, if this is your will, 1, you're going to have to provide a way down there. 2, it needs to be in your timing, and I want to go when you tell me to go. 3, I want my wife to be okay with it and supportive. And so Faith comes home, and I tell her, check 1. Ching. She says, okay, you got to do it. And I tell her, she's like, when do you got to go? And I said, I don't really know. I said, but there's an urgency in my spirit that I need to go ASAP. And I'm like, all right, how am I going to go? How am I going to get down there? So I'm trying to call Michael. I done decided I'm going to go. It's okay with my wife. I'm trying to get a hold of Michael. Can't get a hold of Michael. Next day, Thursday, can't get a hold of Michael. And I told Faith, I believe he's battling with God. I said, I think he's having second thoughts about this. I said, I really believe he's changing his mind and he won't call me and he's struggling with God about this for something. I don't know why. I said, but I was really grieved in my spirit for Michael. There was a very strong grief in my spirit. And I told my wife, I said, there's a grief. And I said, there's something bad. I'm battling because he's battling. Because she would ask me what's wrong. I said, something's wrong with Michael. And I couldn't get a hold of him. I couldn't talk to him to say, hey, man, I'm coming. Is it still okay if I come? But the Lord was like, look, you got to go. And I was like, Faith, the Lord's telling me I got to go. And I can't get a hold of him, but I feel urgent to go. And it was Thursday night. And I was like, okay, well, let's just check the money-wise. When is the money going to be here? Let's see if the Lord is going to provide it. Because, if he don't open the door, because I always pray, Lord, open the door no man can shut the door no man can open. I need the key of David here. So that's what I prayed. And it seemed as if the door was closing in the natural, but the Lord was telling me you got to go whether you get a hold of him or not. And I told my wife that. I said, look, I think I've just got to go. But I don't have any money, so I'm like, let's check the money. So she gets online, finds out when the money's supposed to be there. This is on Thursday night, and it was supposed to be 3 to 5 days. Okay, 3 to 5 days from Thursday night. So I was like, all right, well, I told her, I said, the time is getting short, but there's an urgency, but apparently God ain't wanting me to leave till Monday. And so I'm thinking, hey, man, I'll just go see my brother. He's in prison. I'll go see him Saturday. But all day Thursday, there's just an urgency in my spirit. I got to go ASAP. And so we just prayed, Lord, if you give us the money, you make the way, I'll go. And even if I can't get a hold of Michael. Friday morning, we wake up. Faith checks the bank account. The money is in the bank. Supposed to be 3 to 5 days, but it was in the bank. So we go. I'm ready to go. I'm like, look, okay, this is God's will. He gave us the money. The money's here. 10 o'clock in the morning, I call Greyhound. I say, hey, Greyhound, I need to get to Bristol, Virginia. And so the guy, tells me how much it's going to cost. And he said, when you want to go? I said, well, I'm not really sure. He said, well, no matter what you're going to do, if you're going to go sometime this weekend, he said, you have got to go buy the ticket now. He said, because the office is going to be closed all weekend. And I said, well, can I buy it online? He said, yeah, you can pay for it here, but all we give you is a confirmation number. You got to go to the Greyhound depot or wherever. This one happened to be at a gas station with this little table set up. It was really kind of not very Greyhoundy, you know. You think Greyhound, and you know, when I was a kid, it's the bus that travels everywhere. And then I go to this little shoddy. Anyways, we got to get the ticket there, and he's like, you got to pick it up before they close today, or you won't be able to go this whole weekend. And I was like, okay. I was like, when's the next ride? And he said tonight at 6 o'clock. It might have been 6:30. Either way, it was 6's. And I was like, okay. So I get off phone with him. I talked to Faith. And I said, look, I just gotta go. I gotta go now. I just gotta go now. I'm gonna go buy the ticket. I'm gonna leave tonight, and I'm gonna go now. And I remember Sunday, I call Ron. Monday, I meet with Ron. Wednesday, I meet with Ron. Wednesday, God tells me I'm going to Virginia. Thursday, I can't get a hold of anybody. Still can't get a hold of anybody. It's Friday, still can't get a hold of Michael. I'm like, okay, I need to get a hold of Michael somehow. I need to know that he's going to let me stay there. But I kept telling my wife, I said, I feel like he's battling. I think he's having second thoughts. And I also told her, I said, but the Lord wants me to go regardless whether I get a hold of him or not. And he's just going to provide me a place to stay, whether it's with Michael or not. I said, because I've got to get to Liberty. And I said, so maybe I'm not, you know, maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's not the right time to go to Michael's, but I got to go. And I said, I just feel like he's battling. So all day long, that's all I'm thinking about. And I called Jordan. I'm like, hey, Jordan, man. I said, Faith needs a car to pick up the kids. I said, can you ride me up there to get me my ticket, ride me back? Because I didn't have time to ride up there. I didn't have time to do everything, to get everything ready and then go buy the tickets. I had to get up there and buy the ticket before they closed. And then I had to come back and get on the bus. So he took me up there. We went and bought the ticket. We came back. I packed my clothes. I mean, I literally had no time to do anything. I barely had enough time to kiss my family goodbye. And but so that's what we did. We went there, bought the ticket, dropped off some clothes at Salvation Army, went on the way home, packed my stuff, told my family goodbye, went back, got on the bus. The whole time, trying to get hold of Michael. Can't get a hold of him. I have no idea. I mean, I have an idea, but I have no proof. You know, and I'm like, man, is he even going to let me stay there? You know, so I get on the bus. I'm headed to Virginia. I text him, and he texts me back, and he says, I've been battling with God about this. And I was thinking, no way. That's exactly what God told me. That's what I told my wife. That's what I told Jordan. That's what I told everybody that was around at that point. I said, man, he's battling with God about this. So I told him when I was going to be there. I forgot to put AM or PM. Now I'm sitting in Nashville for 5 hours. It's around 9 o'clock. And I decide to call him. Now you say 5 hours, you just left at 6. Okay, but I was in Nashville for 5 hours. Okay, but it was 9 o'clock at this point. I hadn't been there for 5 hours at this point. But it was around 9 o'clock, and I just called him, and he's like, hey, man, where you at? And I said, I'm in Nashville. He said, what do you mean? He said, Brandy's been there for an hour to pick you up. I said, I'm sorry, man. I said, I didn't put AM or PM. I really didn't know if I did. I thought I did. I was pretty sure, but I hadn't. And he said, no, man, she's been there for an hour. You know, so I was like, oh, man. I said, I'm so sorry. It's supposed to be 9 a.m. I said, apologize to her, tell her I'm very sorry. He said, it won't be that big a deal. He said, she'll probably be a little bit upset at me, but he said, it'll probably be okay. So I said, I'll pick you up in the morning. So, okay. There it is. I finally got a hold of him. God had already confirmed what he was telling me. Now I know, now that I'm already on the bus, now I know that I'm going to have a place to stay. And we're going to hit this video off right here because I'm about to run out of time. So, cheese.